So, hey, Chris.
Are you ready to sing?
We are ready to sing.
All right. Well, I'm sure you know this, but if you don't, it's in the Unity Songbook number 64. We've got Peace Like a River. So stand up.
So, good morning. Good morning. I'm Reverend Ray Nelson. I'm the senior minister down in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm your guest minister today, and I'm here on a tryout, so be gentle and kind and gracious. And if I do anything out of order, not quite the way you normally do it, it's a little grace, a little forgiveness, as I'm doing the best I can. And I just want to welcome everybody here. This is just the way I do it. I want to welcome anybody here for the first time, just so that we can acknowledge people here for the first time, because you took time out of your day of all the things that you could be doing on a Sunday morning, including just sleeping or having a nice cup of coffee at home. You took time out of your day to come here. So anybody, just raise your hand as I'm raising my hand. And we're going to do a little greeting, and this is the way I'm going to just design it, is you can greet people however you want. You can do it with a handshake. You can do it with a hug. You can do it with a wave, a how do you do. You can do it with a blessing. But know that each person's in charge of their body and their experience, so please ask before you hug somebody, unless you know them really well. Greet each other, take about 30 seconds. It's like herding a bunch of cats. So thank you for doing that. We're going to do our statement of belief now. We'll say this one together. Together. There is one presence and one power in the universe and
to our songbook, page 36.
And using that as a container, is there anybody who has a prayer request this morning?
Kathleen Bailey's mother transitioned, so let's hold mother in a good transition and her family in love and support.
So let's just take a moment, turn within for a moment. And we hold Kathleen's mother, we know and affirm that she has made that transition. And that transition is a transition from this material world into a world we don't yet know what it is, but we know and affirm that it is good. That she has transitioned into a deeper place of awareness of that presence of God. And we hold her family and all those who care about Kathleen in that divine light of prayer as they go through that. In our humanness, we know grief and loss can feel hard and dark, and yet we hold that place for them to know that light surrounds them, that love surrounds them, that presence surrounds them as they move through the journey. We see them authentically holding and having the experiences that they're having, and they have them authentically and allow them to then transform and transition into something else. And we hold that prayer in our heart, and we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Any other prayer requests?
Prayers for Bill and Jan Davis, who are dealing with some serious health issues, and we want to see them whole and healthy and able to resume what they were doing in their life.
It was Bill and Janice?
Bill and Jan.
Bill and Jan. So we'll just take a moment. We'll just put Bill and Jan into our mind's eye, into that beautiful power of imagination. And we acknowledge that challenge that they're going through. And yet we know a deeper truth. We know that with each breath they take, we see them infused with the Spirit of God. We see that energy, that healing presence, that light touching each cell, renewing, restoring, uplifting it. And we see them moving through this time with grace and with ease, receiving all the assistance they need to move through that time. All the external help, but that help within them as they see that healing journey taking place now. We hold the place of them healthy, whole, and well, restored and renewed. And we say, thank you, God. Well, we got time for one more prayer request. In the back. Yes, ma'am.
My niece's husband was killed in a tragic accident last weekend, and he leaves behind two young children. That's what his name is. His name is Roger Snyder.
And what is your niece's name?
Genevieve.
Genevieve. So let's just take a moment and put Genevieve in our hearts, and her children, and her family, and her friends, and co-workers. We put all of them into our heart. And we know in this tragic time, though we know Roger while he has left this earth. We know life is eternal, and yet that offers us little comfort in that sense of loss in the moment. But we know that the presence, the power of God, and the presence of the community that surrounds her is guiding her through that, uplifting her, holding her when she can't hold herself, holding her family when they can't hold themselves. And we see each of them finding the strength, the wisdom, the guidance, and all that they need within them to move through it as they must in this human form. And we see them provided with all that they need, all the support, all the assurance that they need as they move through this time. And we just hold them in light and love and reach out with our heart with compassion for what they are going through and all those that are touched by this tragic death. And we say thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. If you have any other prayer requests, you can write them and put them in our prayer box, and our prayer ministry will pray with them. I will also say that we have some beautiful prayer chaplains in this facility that would be more than willing to pray with you individually, or I would be willing to pray with you after the service individually if you'd like an individual prayer for whatever weighing on your heart, or a particular joy that you have, because prayer does not always have to be darkness that we have in our lives. It can also be those unending joys that we want to share with Spirit. All right, and now our prayer chaplain's going to bring our prayer box forward and give us the daily word.
Good morning. Good morning. The word for Sunday, September 16th, 2018 is world peace. The affirmation, peace in my life is my contribution to peace in the world. Reading or watching the news today may cause me to feel frustrated and angry. It would seem that there is little I can do to affect the events of the world. Surely, world peace lies well beyond my abilities. Yet I know and affirm that all life is an expression of spiritual consciousness. My every thought plays a vital role in determining not only how my life will unfold, but what I am contributing to the collective consciousness. The peace I choose to express in my life resonates into all of creation. As today unfolds, I welcome every opportunity to stop and center myself. Through my spiritual willingness, I contribute to peace in the world. From John 16:33, I have said this to you, so that in me you may have peace. In the world you face persecution, but take courage, I have conquered the world. The word for today is world peace.
Let's sing I Release and Let Go. It's on page 15.
So
So now is the time where we give ourselves the gift. The gift to step apart for a while, to step apart from the world. The gift of meditation, quiet. So I invite you, if you have not already, to just close your eyes to the outer world, to set aside the concerns of the day, what maybe to get you here this morning or what's going on later, and give yourself that gift of the quiet, that gift of stepping apart. The words of the song, I release, I let go, I let Spirit rule my life. There's a veil between me and that understanding, that knowledge, that wisdom, that presence of God. Now I see through the mirror dimly, then I shall be seen and known. So as we take that time and relax and take the breath, allow that breath to turn our attention within, we connect, not with the idea of spirit, but with spirit itself. We are like the wave in the ocean. All that is the ocean is the wave. We don't confuse the wave with the ocean, but everything that is the ocean is the wave. We are that wave, and God is that ocean. And we are part of it. Unable to separate the ocean from the wave. And when the wave crests and then falls back into the ocean and the wave become one again. Indistinguishable. As we lift that veil between us and God. As we release and let go of all things that are not spirit. We allow ourselves to enter into that wave and reunite with that ocean of divine essence, the all that is. And as we use that divine power of imagination, we allow ourselves to imagine ourselves free of those barriers, free of those veils of misunderstanding, and become that wave, entering into the ocean, becoming one with and as the ocean. And so as that ocean, and as you continue to breathe, and as you become that, we take a few moments in this stillness, apart from all the thoughts and all the words, and allow ourselves in the stillness to enter into that ocean of divine essence in the stillness. And so we take a breath again. And allow that breath to bring us out of that divine space, to re-enter the world. But we re-enter it differently. We have connected with that essence of who we are, that ocean of divine essence of who we truly are. And we bring that new awareness from that beautiful silence. We bring that new awareness into our conscious mind and allow that to transform us and move us forth as we go about our day. So it's great joy that we had to take time to step apart for a while in that beautiful space of silence. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. This is a brand new song for me. good message and help us remember this every day. It's not something we don't know, we just forget. So, well, good morning. So it is an honor to be here. It also is quite humbling to put yourself out when you're doing ministry tryouts, because quite frequently you try out for ministries and you get told no. And you have to be able to be willing, and because in Unity you have to actually apply for jobs, and just like you apply to be an accountant or apply to be a teacher or apply to be anything. So I really appreciate the board and the search committee for their intention behind the process. I also appreciate, I want to acknowledge the congregation itself for the intentionality you have around the process. Quite frequently, I'm the president of the Great Lakes region, and I get a lot of calls from congregations that aren't quite so disciplined and intentional about their process. It's more like watching a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off, running around trying to figure out what to do next. So the intentionality is huge. So one of the things I read a long time ago, long before I knew what it meant, but it seems to be like almost like a tagline for Unity, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. That we are created in the image and likeness of God, not in the being as in the material being, like there is a being called God and I look like him. God, we wouldn't want that to be. It's bad enough that I look like me. I don't need other people. We're not the image and likeness in that way. We're the essence. We're created in the essence and all that is God. This is the Unity second principle. We just affirmed it in our blessing for the day, which is there is one presence, one power, active in the world and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And if that's true, then that means I'm of God. That there is no separation between that. That all that is God is me. Everything is God and all that I am is of God. So the question I ask myself, my first minister, Rob Robinson, told me, he says, don't take other people's inventory or talk about them. Just talk about yourself. You have enough issues to handle everybody's problems. So the question I ask myself often, if that's true, and I know it is, then why don't I act like it? Why don't I live my life every day as if I was a living expression of God? I am the embodiment of the Christ walking around. I am walking on water. Why don't I do that? Scripture tells us, it's one of my favorite parts of Scripture, and it's not one that's often quoted. They usually talk about faith, love, and hope. But the part of Scripture was, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish things. For now, we see in the mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part, then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. The reason why is because there is a barrier. Now I see dimly. I may know something to be the truth, but I don't embody it each and every day because there's barriers. There's a veil between me and that full expression. I've had that mystical experience where I've had that glimpse of the divine. I've had that glimpse of the oneness. I've had that glimpse of the all that is. Sitting under a tree up in the mountains of Colorado with the valleys unending, and all of a sudden it opened up into a giant expansion. But I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what to do with it. So I kind of set it aside. But once I have the glimpse, I know it's true, and then my journey is to make that which I know intellectually to become more manifest in my life in reality. The goal of the spiritual journey, at least for me, is to remember. Not to learn something I don't already know. It's to remember what I've forgotten. Remember our connection. Remember that oneness. And to live from that consciousness. Not to shed this body and live in the spirit, but to take that beautiful spiritual essence as the goal and move myself in my humanness ever closer to that, to embody, as Charles Fillmore, to create heaven on earth. Not to create heaven at some other time when I've shed this body. To create that heaven on earth when? Now. To create that. Charles Fillmore said that's the goal. To merge that humanness and that spiritual so that we create now. Rumi said, I'm paraphrasing this, he says, your task is not to seek for God, but to find all the barriers you have built within yourself that you have built against God. Our goal is not to find something that doesn't already exist. It's to move all that we have put before us so that all that is left of God. It's to understand, as Jesus understood fully, his Christness, his divine essence. He lived from that. I love that the Baha'i call it, he was a divine manifestation that came here to teach us that we too could live from that consciousness. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville, Kentucky is the home of the Southern Baptist Convention. I like to say the Southern Baptists are the liberal conservatives of the religious world, if you can imagine that. And then they go really conservative, really conservative. So they always want to ask me the question, do you believe that Jesus was fully human and fully divine? And they want to put a period there. So I have no reason to argue or make them wrong, so I say, yes, I do. And I put a comma. And so are you. You are fully human and fully divine. You are the living essence of God expressing as you. And yet, we're not living that yet. How many of you know Daniel Nahmont? Oh, okay. Daniel Nahmont's a New Thought writer, New Thought musician. And he's got a song called Raising the Veil. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil. God's not someplace other than where I'm at. God's right here in my heart. And then he goes on to whatever it is, the next lines. I want to know you, God. I'm raising the veil. I want to see you, God. I'm raising the veil. I want to hear you, God. I'm raising the veil. I want to love you, God. I'm raising the veil. Not the God out there that lives. I never did get the whole God in the sky who had a white beard. I have a white beard, and it's just not that, I don't want to live up in the sky. It's not that. It's the God that lives right here in my heart. I want to hear that. I want to see that. I want to feel it. I want to love it. I want to know it. God's not separate. God is and we are. We're not separate. We're not like a drop of water and God's this. You can't, Rumi says, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. We are the wave in the ocean, inseparable. But yet we don't confuse the wave with the ocean. We don't think an individual wave is the totality of the ocean, and yet we know that all that's in that wave, all that's in that drop, is all that is the ocean and all that is God. There is no separation. There's no distance at all. And the first step to raising the veil, the very first step to raising the veil is, you want to know the answer?
Yes.
Oh, come on. Do you want to know the answer? I do try to do a little interaction. The first step to raising the veil is to know there's no veil at all. It's an illusion. It doesn't exist. The veil is a creation of the mind that we've put up for whatever reason that clouds our vision, clouds our mind, clouds our thinking. Course in Miracles says it's an illusion. It doesn't really exist. And you know what? It doesn't matter, because in my life, it's real. The illusion might not be real, but it's real. We create the world that we live in. That's our third principle. That's the Unity third principle. What we think, how we feel about what we think, what we believe, what we hold, how we act, what story we tell ourselves about any moment in time is a creation. Life is not fixed. Life is not fixed. It is a creation of how we think about life. Our lives and our experiences. I'm going to try a little experiment. I haven't done this one in a while. Fold your hands. Now, I want you, how's that feel? Does it feel okay? Come on, does it feel okay?
Yes.
Now, I want you to put your thumb the other way. No, unfold them so that your hands are going back in a different way. How's that feel?
Different.
Most people say it feels wrong. So who made up that my right thumb on top is right? Well, of course it's right, because it's the way I do it, so it must be right. We make up the reality we live in and then decide to defend that reality because it's right, of course. Our lives and our experience are always being filtered through our ego and through our subconscious minds, which creates whatever story we're living in. And I'll tell you about, I don't know about you, but I have a lot of them. And most of those stories, most of those experiences, most of that ego, most of that subconscious is hidden in the shadows and the depths of my consciousness. And my work is to bring those shadow experiences, those parts I don't want to look at, those parts I don't even know that I have to even decide to look at. Bring them to the light, to live present and aware and authentic each and every day. We do it by being awake to each moment. Each moment can be a transformative moment. Each moment has the ability to be a moment of enlightenment. I said this at the 8:45 service. Oftentimes, another thing that you will get in the Southern Baptist, well, have you been saved? Have you been saved? Young lady, have you been saved? Nope. And they don't. So you make something up about being saved. But that's another workshop, and that's another story. And that's another talk. We'll have another talk someday. So they want you to put a period on it, and they want you to say yes, because they don't really want to have to go into the conversation about witnessing the presence of Jesus Christ in you. I put a comma there. I don't tell them that because I'm not, if I don't find there's a reason for a conversation, I don't need to make anybody wrong. I'm more about peace than being right. But I put a comma there, and I say to myself, you know, sometimes if it's a good day, I'm saved 5 or 6 times. Any moment, I'm willing to take a moment and go, oh my God, that's what's up for me, and change my mind. Is a moment where I get to be saved. Not saved from my sinful nature. I'm saved from my sinful nature. No, I'm saved from myself. Saved from having to live my life out of the same routine and pattern that I'm doing unconsciously. I get to bring it forth and go, oh my God, I do that. No, a great place to do this? Minnesota's really good. Wait until winter when it starts snowing and get on rush hour traffic on one of the highways. It's a great place to bring to your awareness what you're making up about the moment. It's a great place of transformation. It's also a great place to be frustrated, but that's another story. And you know what? Doing this work can be scary. Your family, your friends, your coworkers, your people out in the world may not understand when you have an awakening. Anybody in New Thought ever try to have a New Thought conversation with a conservative Christian? It's not easy. It can be scary. The family system won't necessarily want to support you in being somebody new and being somebody different because they have a vested interest in you being who you are. I was saying at the 8:45 service, it's like you're a mobile. And just you even thinking about doing things, it's the wind hitting the old mobile. But the mobile comes back to stasis pretty quick. You start doing this transformational work, you just took a piece off the mobile and you moved. And that mobile is going, I don't know how to balance myself, so they're going to be trying to rope you back in and hook you right back in where you were, and the ego is going to support it. Because the ego has a vested interest in you being exactly the way you are, because it's known. It's not that it's wrong, the ego's not necessarily bad, but it knows. It'd rather have you be miserable and in pain that it knows than an absolute freedom and ecstatic experience that it doesn't know, because it doesn't know that. So there's a vested interest in holding you small. And as long as these situations, this consciousness, these shadows stay hidden, they will continue to govern and grow and guide your life. Those moments where you say, that's just the way I am, is a moment to put the mirror this way and go, why? I grew up in a family which was very loud. Robin can attest to it. They were very loud and very argumentative and very stubborn and very argumentative, as I said once before, so you get the fact they were very argumentative, and who was ever the loudest won. So our houses were very loud and argumentative, and I went through most of my life going, well, that's just the way I am. I'm loud and stubborn and argumentative, till somebody said, why? Well, that's actually a good question. I don't know why, and so I got to start, I'm still pretty loud, but I'm not quite so argumentative. So I started to change. I started to look like, what am I creating with this argumentativeness? In the old days, I would look for people to try and say, can I witness Christ to you? Yeah, come on, give it to me, because I want that argument. We can learn to live authentic lives when we're willing to take each moment. And Debbie Ford says we have to find the compassion and embrace the darkness inside us in order to understand it and oftentimes transcend it. And I would actually say more than transcend it, to integrate it into it. It's part of who we are. To raise the veil, I must train my mind to be open to each moment as a transformative moment. And that is a discipline, and it's a practice. And so often we treat discipline and practice as two four-letter words that we don't say in polite company. It's a discipline and practice that we have to do every day. I love the Centers for Spiritual Living that say they don't pray with you. If you go to a Center for Spiritual Living, they don't pray with you. Well, what does a Center for Religious Science do? Give us a mind treatment. Yes. They don't give us a prayer. They treat our mind to think about a situation differently, because there's really no one to pray to. The prayer isn't to somebody. The prayer is to shift us. So they call it a mind treatment. So from the very beginning, they are learning and teaching us to train our mind. Any idea, any belief, any action that seems automatic to you, that feels like you don't have a choice, is a moment that's a barrier and a veil between you and a deeper expression of who you are. If you don't have a choice, you need to turn that mirror this way and go, why do I not have a choice about that? And look at what possible choices you might have. One of the things I like about Unity is a present moment focused. So you don't have to go back in your past lives or in your past at all to discover why you did that. One of my friends, and he's kind of one of my personal coaches, would say, if I heal everything in this life, it really doesn't matter, because I'll just start going into past lives and worry about what I need to heal there. And he was doing that as a joke to say, the work is to be done here in the moment. There might be, and there probably is value in going back and looking, what is the source of that belief? What's the source of that behavior? What might have been the conditions that had me believe this about myself? There is some value in that. But what Unity says is, start with right here, right now, I get to make a choice and do it differently now. I might do that deeper work later to find out where it came from, but I get to make that choice now. I get to bring that shadow to the light now and do it differently now. It's a present moment focus, not sometime in the future. When I get better, then I'll do it differently. When I get one more degree, take one more workshop, do one more shamanic journey, because you guys like shamans, do one more something. As soon as you say, when I do one more, know that you're placing your transformation someplace other than where you are. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but just notice that you put it someplace other than where you are. And that when you get there, are you going to do it any differently there? Or will I do one more after that? When I first came into Unity, I was a workshop junkie. I took everything because I thought when I get one more, then I'll know the answer. But I wasn't looking in the one place that the answer resided, which is right here. Thank you. Right here. Learning to turn the mirror towards us rather than towards the other person. I'll do one quick story. I attend Alcoholics Anonymous because I've been in recovery for 25 years, and I just find it a great spiritual practice of turning my will and my life over to a God of my understanding, which continues to grow. And there was a guy in the meeting, and we had a ground rule, no feedback, no crosstalk. And one of the guys always gives feedback, and he always crosstalks. But it was his, he started the meeting. So he's kind of like this super AA, super God, you know, kind of, and I'm like, I'm so outraged that he's violating the rules. And so I talked to my sponsor, I'm not going to go to that meeting anymore because I want integrity. They're violating the rules. And he, listen, God, I hate him. He just listened. And as I ran out of steam, he said, so when do you break the rules? I was like, oh. Okay, all right, I get it. You know, he was just showing me an aspect. Life just shows me an aspect of myself that I haven't reconciled yet. When do I break the rules? When do I crosstalk? When do I say I'm more important than the agreements we make? Ugh. I didn't say it was going to be easy. I wasn't going to say it was going to be comfortable, but it's necessary. And recognize that it's all about being self-aware. Robert Brummett, you have his book out there called Living Originally. That Robert's my teleprompter. Living Originally. And his first practice is radical self-awareness. You can't choose to do it differently. You can't make a decision. You can't do anything if you're not willing to make it your practice to become aware. And to become aware of what's become rote, what's become rigid, what is not serving my higher good. When we learn to recognize all of it, we can make a different choice. We raise the veil one moment at a time, one choice at a time, one decision at a time, one belief at a time. Brene Brown, one of my favorite going on right now, she calls it braving the wilderness. Braving the wilderness to be able to bring all of it to you, to bring all of it in present now. And we're not taught to do this. How many of you, and I asked this at the 8:45 service, how many of you went to school to learn how to express your feelings authentically? And to learn how to make a really valid request because you had a need that wasn't being met by the teacher and how you were supported in that, right? Though I think YOU probably does a better job. So, thank you. So, we're not taught this. Our families probably don't teach us this. They just want us to do things though. Anybody ever have a parent who says, I just want you to do it because I want you to do it that way? You don't have a choice. We're taught to live in the confines and limitations and identities that are most often given it to us by others. When we start bringing it to the light, we can start making a different choice. And it's not always easy. It's not always comfortable. It's not always fun. But the other side of it is an enlightened, an aware, a responsible, an authentic life that begins to transform not only your life, but it transforms the world around you. Because when people see you and you hold fast to that authenticity, they begin to be more authentic. And you get to support them in their uncomfortableness. And you get to be uncomfortable with the fact of, well, I like to be authentic, but I really would like you to stay just the way you are because I'm more comfortable with that. So it really is a process. It's when we learn to live from that authentic place, when we learn to bring all the darkness, all the shadows into the light, we can learn to live differently. We can learn to create a new heaven on earth in which there's enough for everybody and the world works for all. And that's a vision I'm willing to hold for myself and the world. I love you, I bless you, and I behold the living presence of God in each of you. Namaste.
I totally agree with you. Daniel Nahmod is an amazing, wonderful musician. Look him up. He's great. And let's go back to another guy who's an amazingly wonderful musician. His name is Johnny Nash.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll invite you to sing along. We know you'll love this song. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. On the dark clouds that hang down, it's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. If I can make it now, the rain's gone. All of the bad things have disappeared. Here's that rainbow I've been waiting for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue skies. Being authentic. Look around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. sunshiny
It could be bright and sunny, but I wish it wasn't quite so hot. I came up here expecting it to be about 70 degrees, and I must have brought the heat with me. I'm going to do your offering differently than you did it. I was encouraged to try it this way, just since I knew you're going to forgive me anyhow. We're going to do the offertory blessing before the offering rather than after. So you have it's in your bulletin. So do you do the offering from the back of the front? Okay, so as the ushers come forward, just know as you get your offering together that, and I'll just say what my practice is. I practice the divine law of giving and receiving, and I activate that law through my gifts. I know and I affirm that the universe is abundant, and I give from my abundance. I don't give out of a scarcity or lack. And I know as I give, my good increases. So we'll say this offertory blessing together. Together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. God is the source. Each of us channels, guiding the good, flowing divine, one endless source, infinite blessings, praise the Creator, thy will is Page 10. I am grateful to be giving from within. There's abundance in my life now. Now my blessing has descended. I am grateful to be giving from within. There's abundance in my life now. Now my blessing has descended. I am grateful to be giving from within. There's abundance in my life now. Now my blessing has descended. And as we take a moment and make this up as we go along, we just surround these gifts, surround them in light, and know that they were given in love, given in honor, and given forth so that this church can continue fulfilling its ministry both within and without. And for that awareness and presence of God that expands this beyond even our wildest dreams, we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Thank you, God. And hopefully somebody else is doing the announcements, because I had absolutely no idea what.
I'll do them. How about that?
Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. Hi, good morning. Good morning. All right, so I've got a full page of announcements, so stick with me here. So this afternoon, Wendy Barron will lead a medicinal and edible plant walk at her home. Please check with Ann Monjo if you need directions to Wendy's home. There are participant sign-up sheets for the in-home book study. They're on the small table in the narthex. Please sign up by September 23rd. The unit teams are looking for a vehicle to go to rally at the end of September. The vehicle needs to hold 4 to 5 people, 1 adult and 4 youth, plus their luggage. Let Leah know if you can help. Also, they're having a fundraiser. Please bring an individual package of beef jerky for Hope for Youth by September 30th. There will be a plastic tub on the small table in the narthex. Please take a few minutes to nominate a candidate to serve on the Board of Trustees. There are forms in the narthex, and you will remain anonymous. On Wednesday the 19th, there will be an equinox drumming at 7 p.m. led by Jimena. Let's see, we have family table. Please sign up on the board in the fellowship hall to help with family table meal. The next meal is on Thursday the 27th, and we especially need volunteers to help with setup in the morning. The next women's gathering will be held at 6:30 p.m. on Saturday the 29th. If you wish to become a member of Unity North, which allows you to vote on issues at the annual meeting and serve on the board, be sure to sign up for the October 5th and 6th membership class, and there are flyers in the narthex. Carl's has a shamanism workshop on the 30th at 2 p.m., and I have a special thing I have to read about that. This is a 9-month series dedicated to empowerment, service, and the restoration of soul. This first seminar will establish the foundation for the rest of the series and is recommended for both new and experienced practitioners. We will review the shamanic world view and begin tending a relationship with soul, community, land, and spirit. Participants are free to choose the seminars that are of interest to them or attend all 9 for a certificate of shamanic arts. Whoa. Certificate from Carl Schlotterbeck. Prior registration is important for each seminar, so materials can be provided, and there's more information in our
I want to say one thing about that. Be real clear here. This is the beginner class. So if you want to take the rest of the classes and you don't know how to journey or have a spirit helper, come to this class. We won't have another one for a year. Beginner class.
Yeah. You may recall this past July when members of the Nusrat Mosque came here for discussion and lunch. So on Sunday, October 7th at 12:30, we have been invited to the mosque for discussion and lunch. Please sign up to attend, as they would like to know how many to plan on for lunch. And on the way in, you may have noticed some black bags in the entryway. They contain laundry from Family Promise families that just stayed with us this past week. Please take the bag home if you can and return the clean laundry so that we're ready for hosting them again. And lastly, grab a bite to eat after the second service today, and then you return to the sanctuary for a Q&A from about 12:30 to 1:30. Yep, our prayer chaplains today are Gretchen Hansen and Ann Monjo. And then our ushers are handing out some feedback forms. So if you would please, if you have any feedback, if you'd like to provide that, put that on these forms and return the forms to the box in our narthex.
And I'd say if you like what we do today, we have CDs for sale, so experience something new. Own the thing instead of streaming.
Sing the gratitude song. For this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This wonderful day. This wonderful day.
Together.
The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you for peace on earth. I know it begins with me. Thank you for peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Creator, family all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me, and this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Thank you for peace on earth. I know it begins